Hey, everybody. It's Dr. Cassie. I guess you can see. There we go. Hi, everybody. I'm a couple minutes early, but I just wanted to say hi and give people a couple minutes to get on before we get started. Hey, everybody. We got a couple more minutes before we start. I saw a few people hop on, so I just wanted to say hi. If you want to say hi, you can say hi too. I can't see who's on. I have no idea. I just see that 3 people are watching currently. So if you want to say hi, I'm here. That'd be great because I can't see anybody but my computer. Got another new person. But I'm going to give everybody a couple minutes. I might wait until like 5:31 or 5:32 just to give everybody some time to get on. So just hang tight for a minute. Hi, Margaret. Hi, Travis. It's always great to see your smiling face too. If you just joined us, I'm Dr. Cassie. Here's my face. I'm going to give everybody just a couple more minutes to get on. I see we've got 6 people watching. I have no idea who's here, so if you want to say hi. Hi, Philip. So glad you guys are on. You can say hello. I have no idea who's on here. I can just see how many people are watching, so you can always say hi. It's always better when someone's out there talking to you, so I don't feel like I'm just talking to myself. We'll give everybody just a couple more minutes. Say hi. If you don't know what you clicked on, we're going through the whole 30, which is pretty awesome. I am a fan. Yay, Janet's internet is working. Yes. Yes, ours was not working. It just came on this morning, so I was wondering if I was going to have to go and be in the office or I could do it at home. I am at home right now. It's a beautiful elephant painting my husband got me for my birthday a couple years ago. But yes, I hope everyone is okay. What crazy storms we just had. Nikki does not have power or internet or anything at her home. She's staying at our house for a couple days, so you can think about her, pray for her. I have a couple patients haven't had any power or internet. Quarantine life without internet is like, let alone no power or nothing. You got to be super creative. Love it. Hi, Nikki. Nikki is my right-hand woman for this webinar, so you can feel free to text the office or ask any questions in the comments, and she'll be there to answer them if I don't see them. And if she can't answer them, then I will answer them at the very end. And there's a dog trying to get in. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Yes, I did it. No. Nope. You don't need to see my face that big. Okay. So let's get started with Whole30. I'm pretty sure most people in the world have heard of Whole30. Maybe you've tried it before. I have no idea who's listening, so I'm going to be trying, Travis, 1 hour. I'm going to be talking to everybody here. So whether you just need a kick in the butt, you've tried Whole30 before, you've done it before, you've failed, or you're ready to do it again, wherever you are, this will speak to you. I want to go ahead and give you just a background of where Whole30 came from. So I'm not a developer of it. I am a very big fan of it, however. So it was created in April of 2009, and it was developed by Melissa Hartwig Urban and her ex-husband at the time. His name is Dallas. And I think the best thing, because I'm going to not get all of the details of her story, but Melissa is a big part in this story. So she has an incredible story, like 20 years of heroin addiction recovery, cocaine, psychedelics. Like I am telling you from a drug addiction standpoint, like she is recovering from it. And out of her recovery came Whole30. So she never really struggled with food that she knew of. Like she owned a CrossFit gym, I believe in Boston or like Massachusetts or no, New Hampshire. And she had this CrossFit gym with her husband, and they went to this seminar and they were talking about food. And she basically was food for fuel. So she worked out, but she just ate to fuel her body back up. She didn't really think there was any issues, but she went to the seminar and they were talking about how some healthy foods that we consider okay could actually cause inflammation inside of the body, and that if you eliminated them from your diet, that your performance, basically from like CrossFit style, like your performance could be enhanced. And she was like sitting next to her husband. Her husband was like, let's do that. And she's like, when do you want to start? And he said, now. And she was eating a bag of Thin Mints or a box of Thin Mints. And she was like, I'm okay. I'm up for a challenge. Let's go ahead and do it. So she was completely surprised by not only her performance of CrossFit changing, but that she was able to sleep better. Her mood was better. She said her 20 employees that she had in her CrossFit gym were like, you're a lot nicer. And like, what are you doing? And this is where Whole30 was birthed out of. And if you want to hear like her whole story about this, she does have a podcast. So if you want to listen to the, like more information on straight from her mouth on Whole30 and how to make this happen, it's called Do the Thing. If you just go into your podcast thing and you type Whole30, it'll pop up. But the December 17th, 2019, it's titled What is Whole30? And she talks about her entire journey through it, what it actually is, even more than what we're going to go through today. So let's start off with what is it, like what are the basics of it. So for 30 days, you're going to be eating lots of whole, fresh, and nutritious food for 30 days straight. And that means like no calorie counting at all whatsoever. So it kind of looks like this. Like you have breakfast, and that could be a vegetable frittata, some fresh fruit, and avocado. For lunch, you could have a spinach salad with grilled chicken, with apples, pecan, like a raspberry walnut vinaigrette. And then for dinner, I mean, it is Cinco de Mayo, so like you could have carnitas and roasted sweet potatoes and a cabbage slaw. So that sounds absolutely amazing. And that's what Dr. Michael and I's diet typically looks like on a regular basis. So the reason that it's 30 days, so that's what's going to happen for 30 days, real food, that's the basics of what it is. But why they chose 30 days. So habit research has shown like the average number of days it takes to actually make a habit stick is 66 days. So asking someone though to change their diet for 66 days or like 2 months, like it's really hard to ask someone to do that. It will scare a lot of people. But anything less than that, like 14 days, it might not stick as well. So they chose a middle ground. So 30 days it is. So what it is not, however, it is not a diet. It is not a quick fix. It is not a test of your willpower to see if you can do something for 30 days. And it is also not a weight loss program. However, 96% of participants in Whole30 lose weight and improve their body composition without counting or restricting calories. So I'm in. I hate counting calories. I can't do it. I'm really even bad at counting macros in the keto program. So I am in. But here's the thing. If that's all that it was, like if it was a diet, if it was a quick fix, if it was a test of your willpower, it would be a lot easier. But because you can do anything. Hi, Dr. Michael's here. He brought me these. We're doing a side view. You can't actually see yourself. Hold on, let me do that and then we can see. Everyone say hi to Dr. Michael.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, Afkar. So we're doing a side note. I am going to do a giveaway of either a men's multivitamin or a women's multivitamin. I honor you for sitting on a webinar. I am much more of a people like in front of me type of a person, but I just want to say thank you for being on here and taking this hour with me. So if you comment, because I love when pastors say like I'm a holler back preacher, like you can say like, come on, yes, amen. Like that is, I love and I live for that, is just having that feedback, and I just don't get it here. And it's hard sometimes, to be honest, that you get nothing back. You have no idea if anybody's listening. So I just want to say thank you. So anybody that comments on the comment section, it doesn't have to be anything. It could be a great, it can be awesome, it can be a question, it can be anything, but we are going to enter your name into a drawing to win either a women or a men's multi at the very end. We'll do it at the end and we'll tag your name in the comments. Okay, so back to this. So if it was all about being a diet or a quick fix, like you can literally do anything for 30 days. And then the problem though is that the reason that you can do anything for 30 days is because at day 31, you're believing that you can go back to all of your bad habits. So we can stop a habit for 30 days if you know that at the 31st day, you can go back to everything. You might be a few pounds lighter, and this temporary restriction was a lot easier. So no big deal. That's not what this is. And one of the things that they quote, and Melissa quotes everywhere, she quotes it in her book. I highly recommend this. I'm going to talk about it at the very end. Like she has an entire book that goes through all of this. But it is not hard. Don't you dare tell us that this is hard. Quitting heroin is hard. Fighting cancer is hard. Drinking coffee black is not hard. And that's a little bit of tough love for some of you, but I want you to know that I can handle what comes back from that. This is not hard, and we have to get that inside of here, inside of our mindset. Like you've done way harder things than changing your food and restricting things for 30 days. Like you can absolutely do this. So the bottom line through all of this is that you will get so much more out of this than you're expecting it to really do. Like it can be a monumental transformation in how you think about your food, how you think about your body, how you think about your life, and what you want out of the time left that you have on this earth. Like it has the power and the ability to do that. Like it is way bigger than just food. It's a paradigm shift. And what starts off as being a diet, it somehow expands into every other area of your entire life, like areas that you didn't even know could be improved by simply eating good food. So a health chain reaction is about to happen for you. You're going to have a sense of control, but also a sense of freedom. Like you're going to have stability, you're going to have confidence, and that's going to inspire you to start doing things in other ways, like other personal development goals that you might have, like whether they're big or whether they're tiny and small. Like you're going to feel better, so then you're going to want to do more. And then that's going to lead you to feeling even more better, and then you're going to want to do even more things. And that might be the exact opposite of the cycle that you're stuck in currently. The cycle that you might be in right now sounds like this. God, I just feel bad. And quarantine does not make this any better. I get it. We feel bad Then we eat junk food, and then we feel even worse, and then we eat even more junk food. So it will do so much more than you're expecting it to do. You can see right there the amount of things of sleep, energy levels, your mood, your attention span. Of course, your body's going to change, your motivation, but your self-confidence, your quality of life will change by changing the food that you eat. So it does all start with food. I want you to think of this like pushing a reset button with your health, your habits, and your relationships with food. So there's two things that it's going to focus on. The very first one that you see right there, certain food groups could be having a negative impact on your body composition, your health, and quality of life without you realizing it. This is how it looks, because some of you are like, well, wouldn't I know that already? Like, wouldn't I feel those things that are making me less healthy? Not necessarily. And so here's how it works. So say you're allergic to a tree outside, and some of you know this because it's happening to you, but you're allergic to this tree outside, and like every morning you just wake up and your eyes are itchy, your nose is running, your head hurts just a little bit. But day after day, you know what starts to happen? You are exposed to the same thing. So guess what? You don't really start to feel that anymore. Like you just kind of, it's just your normal every day when you wake up. And then what happens is you go on vacation and there's not any of those trees at all anywhere, zero. And you wake up and you're like, woo, yes, like your eyes aren't itching, like your nose isn't running, your head isn't hurting. And you're like, this is amazing. And then you come back home. And then now you're just acutely aware again of how everything is back to where it needs to be. So what we're doing is part of Whole30 is removing all of those potential dietary triggers that could do the same thing in your body. So then now you can truly and honestly be aware. It's like taking your body on a vacation, bringing it back and seeing how it's starting to change and affect your body. And then what I love the most about what this really does is it also is going to address your relationship with food in the emotional sense. And so food is our comfort. It's our reward. It's a friend that is trusted. And it's also a mother's love when you really think about it. It's a family's love. It's a big hug that can happen in our culture and our society. So I personally dealt with this morning. So I have been doing Whole30, but then there's parts that I was like, oh crap, like I haven't been doing this right. And I'm going to be talking about it in a second, but coffee. So like I love coffee, but I actually think I love bulletproof coffee and I love the feeling of it. I love putting stevia in it. I love doing all that. So one of the things is no stevia on Whole30, which I will get to. And so this morning, I was having a moment, like I was like, Dr. Michael, no more stevia in our bulletproof. And I was drinking it and I was like, I freaking hate this. Like I was stressed out. I was getting ready for this. And I was like, all I want is stevia back in my coffee right now. It'll help calm me down. It'll help my whole mood. I just need this because it was making me angry. And I was like, all right, Cassie, you need to deal with this. Like what is happening and what is going on? Like this is literally changing your whole thing. Like you have this habit that you need that we need to break off. And so I had to dip even this morning into some emotions that are attached to bulletproof coffee. And for those of you that know us, we love bulletproof coffee. And I'm so thankful to be going through this, but you've got food habits. You've also got traditions and associations with food that go back to childhood. Like you cannot imagine living without certain foods in your life, like happily. Like you will not be happy if you don't have certain foods. And for me right now, it's bulletproof. I don't know what would happen to my emotions if I don't have bulletproof. And that is a sign. Like that is a warning sign. I feel like I'm at confession right now. But I'm asking though, as we go through here, is that there are foods that you're going to feel the same way. And I'm going to ask you to do it for an entire month, for 30 days of not having them. And I know that it can be scary. I know that it can almost be paralyzing. I know some of you might have already left and you've shut me off. And some of you might not be saying nice things to me. And you might be being like, how am I going to deal if I can't have some of these things? You don't even know what they are yet. Like, how am I going to deal with my life? How are we going to celebrate family traditions? Like, how am I going to be able to do that? But I want to prep you right now that by going through this program, we're going to start to eliminate those things and take the chains off so that you can truly be free. But I say all this to tell you that it will be a little bit hard. Like, it was hard this morning. I know I just said like this is not hard, but the reality is that some of this is going to be a little bit tough, but you're not perfect and you won't be perfect. So don't try to be perfect. Like, no one is judging you. No one is keeping score. There's no penalties. There's none of that. And it is okay if you start to struggle. It is okay to ask for help. Just be patient with yourself as we go through this, like, because real change is going to take time. I had to be kind to myself this morning, so I'm going to ask you to do the same, is to be kind with yourself when we go through this. Celebrate even the smallest victories that you go through, because those small victories are the things that lead to a change in your life. So I know that this says it's going to be 30 days, but it's not 30 days. It's one day at a time. It's one meal at a time. It's one bite at a time as we go through. And if you do this one bite at a time, it's okay, because you're that important in this world to change the foods, but this is where it starts. Now, I'm going to tell you a story about one of our patients. His name is Ian. We met Ian August of 2017. So we're going on 3 years here when he first came into our office, and I'm showing and telling you his story. I don't have to explain what's happening here, but he started Whole30. He did everything Whole30, and his whole entire body and life has changed. You can see the absolute transformation in his entire body, his entire life. His energy levels are through the roof right now, and he's a busy guy. Like, he's a lawyer, and he works a lot of long nights. Every time he comes in, I'm like, how you doing? He goes, another long night. I was up doing this. But because of how he's changed his food, his energy levels are through the roof. You can see how much weight his body has changed. He sleeps better. But you can see right here, it's been a challenge, not a challenge, but he has gone through and he has kept with it. It wasn't just 30 days, but it helped create new lifestyle changes in his life that he just basically says, this is what he does from now on. And in the middle picture that you see there, the one that was on October 30th, 2018, that is when we really started to see a transition and a change where we were like, Ian, you got to get some new clothes. His clothes stopped fitting, and you can see the transition into that. He had to get new pants because they didn't fit anymore. His shirts didn't fit anymore. They were so baggy because his body was getting healthy on the inside. So what is it though, for real? So here we go. This is a 100% elimination program. What it will do, mindset-wise, and I know I've talked about it, but this will change the way that you think about food. It will change your taste. It will change your habits and your cravings. And it also will change the emotional relationship that you have with food in your body. So for 30 days, you're going to eliminate foods, and we're going to go through that next. Eliminate foods that demonstrated by science and our experience in Whole30 to promote unhealthy cravings, habits, disrupt your metabolism, damage your digestive tract, and burden your immune system. After 30 days, you're going to carefully and systematically reintroduce those foods back in. You're going to pay attention to how they impact your cravings, your mood, your energy, your sleep, your digestion, your body composition, athletic performance, and so on. Then, with all of that knowledge that you have, you can create the perfect diet for you, a nutrition plan that feels balanced, it feels sustainable, it feels grounded in these new health habits that you have, and it also is going to keep you looking and feeling and living your best. It will change your life, and you will have food freedom from Whole30. So remember though, it is 100% elimination. So that means if on day 1 you do awesome, on day 5 you slip up, that's not 100% elimination. So it does start over again. So this is 30 days straight through. I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute, but this is a 100% elimination. There is no kind of sorta. It needs to be followed 100%. So here's the whole purpose of it. There's 4 targets. So the very first target that this is going to do is address your unhealthy relationship with food. So it is designed to address any long-standing, unhealthy psychological and emotional relationships with food, helping you to also break free of cravings and bad habits. Number 2, the second target of this is any type of sluggish metabolism. So what happens though is if you overconsume unhealthy foods like sugar, which we'll go through, if you eat those a lot, especially with sugar, your metabolism starts to slow down because that's the only thing that your body knows how to use for energy. So this is going to help bring this back. Some of you have heard me talk about before, like, do you want to be a sugar burner or do you want to be a fat burner? So you want to be a fat burner. So your body has never had the ability to, if you have a sluggish metabolism, it has stopped learning how to create and use fat for energy and for fuel. So that is the second target of this, is to help burn that unwanted fat on your body, burn fat for fuel instead of sugar. Number 3, it targets any disrupted digestive system issues. So that means your gut and your belly, and specifically in your small intestine, because that is where your food is, the majority of it is absorbed and digested. And so certain foods are going to cause what's known as leaky gut. And some of you have been to our leaky gut seminar. We're hoping that we can turn it into a webinar. But this can start to trigger an immune response in your digestive tract. But the problem is that because it causes leaky gut, goes out into your bloodstream, which causes systemic inflammation throughout your entire body. So then things like heartburn, things like acid reflux, things like constipation, gas, bloating, diarrhea start to show up. So this starts to address that as well. The fourth thing is any type of overactive immune system. So that this is an anti-inflammatory diet, and it's designed to calm an overactive immune system and also help to reduce the symptoms of inflammation. So things like aches and pains and other medical issues, which I'm going to read to you in just a second, but things that you really may have never even ever associated food choices to being. Like, you've been to the doctor a million times and they've never talked to you about food. They've just given you medications. Like, I'm talking about those types of things could be addressed by doing Whole30. And it's mainly because it's called silent inflammation. And it's not really silent though, but silent inflammation throughout your entire body can cause medical conditions that are food related. And it's not really, I want to give you like hope in that, like, it's not really silent if you actually know what you're looking for. Now, you're going to have to bear with me. And if you just joined us, welcome to Reading Time with Dr. Cassie. But I'm going to do this because some of you could be doing 7 other things right now and I'm just on the corner. Or you're going to, when I read this, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I know somebody with that. I should show them this webinar that it could help them and they could get off of medications. Now, here are the things related to silent inflammation that Whole30 can help address. Acid reflux, heartburn, acne, allergies, alopecia, Alzheimer's disease, anemia, arthritis, asthma, atherosclerosis, which is plaquing of your arteries, bipolar disorder, bronchitis, chronic bursitis, cancer, carditis, inflammation of the heart, celiac disease, chronic pain, circulation issues, cirrhosis, colitis, Crohn's disease, dementia, depression, dermatitis, diabetes, type 1 and type 2, diverticulitis, eczema, edema, emphysema, endometriosis, essential tremor, fibroids, fibromyalgia, gastroenteritis, gingivitis, gout, Graves' disease, Hashimoto's, heart disease, hepatitis, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high triglycerides, infertility, inflammatory bowel syndrome, IBS, insulin resistance, I'm spitting everywhere, interstitial cystitis, joint pain, lupus, Lyme, migraines, multiple sclerosis, myasthenia gravis, myositis, nephritis, obesity, osteopenia, osteoporosis, Parkinson's, PCOS, periodontal disease, polychondritis, psoriasis, Raynaud's, rheumatoid arthritis, sarcoidosis, scleroderma, seizures, sinusitis, spastic colon, chronic tendonitis, trichotillomania, don't even know what that is, ulcerative colitis, vasculitis, vitiligo. Like, what? All of that, like silent inflammation in your body, and that's what Whole30, one of the targets is to reduce inflammation, an overactive immune system, leaky gut, all that inside of your body that can be helped by changing our food. It is that powerful. And so know that if you are listening, like, this can do more than just change your body composition, and your weight. So let's talk about these foods that I keep saying are going to mess with your cravings, tank your metabolism, disrupt your gut, and aggravate your immune system. You ready? Let's take a side note. Dr. Michael wrote it on here. If you comment, say, hey, yeah, awesome, ask a question, I'm giving away a men's multi or a women's multi. I am a hollaback chiropractor, so nobody's here in front of me. It's just me and the computer, so I want to know who's listening. So say a hi. Good to see you as we go through. Here we go. So added sugar and artificial sweeteners, all alcohol, all grains, even whole grains, legumes, including peanuts and soy, nearly all forms of dairy. Don't freak out. And the reason I say that is because I know that a lot of fun foods are in that list. I don't know how many people like love black beans, but like it could be your favorite food. But muffins, pizza, grains, cereal, like maybe some of your favorite foods are in there, and maybe some of you are panicking a little bit. And you might be thinking like, there is no way I can live without blank. Like, I get it. But I want to assure you, like, you can do this. Like, you can absolutely do this, and you will. So let's go through each one of these. The very first thing we got to talk about, though, is slay the sugar dragon. Like, put it on notice right now, under your feet. Done. The reason it's called a sugar dragon is because you know that every time you eat the sugar, it's like a blazing fire on the outside, and it's just like, give me more. Like, we are going to slay it. That is the very first thing that we are going to do. So added sugars. Table sugar, honey, agave, maple syrup, coconut sugar, beet sugar. Those are things that all need to be eliminated on Whole30. So the reason, like, they do not make you healthier. They do not contain any vitamins, no minerals, nothing that contributes to your overall health, but they do contain a lot of empty calories. Added sugar promotes overconsumption, and it does this by way of our pleasure and reward centers in our brain. So I'm not even talking about that it feeds cancer. I'm not even talking about diabetes. Right now, I am talking about the biggest battle that you have with sugars is your pleasure and reward center in your brain. So what happens when we eat sugar, like this starts to create an unhealthy psychological relationship with food and creates hard to break habits, leading to more consumption of sugar that leads to a sugar addiction. Not only does it do that, but it leads to hormonal issues, metabolic dysregulation, which then creates inflammation in your body, promotes things like insulin resistance, diabetes, and obesity. They're also showing that it also disrupts the bacteria inside of your gut, the balance that you need inside of there. Now, in addition to added sugars, there's also no artificial sweeteners or non-nutritive sweeteners. Now, those of you that know me, and I just talked about it with Bulletproof, you can see that stevia is on here. You can see that I've also talked to you guys about erythritol and xylitol. These are also not allowed on Whole30 at all. So they've seen a couple studies. So they're showing, especially with artificial sweeteners, is that if there's any type of ongoing like metabolic dysfunction inside of your body, any of these can make them worse. Studies have shown that people that switch from real sugar to artificial sweeteners do not lose any weight or improve their hormonal balance at all. Like, new research is also showing that artificial sweeteners may even disrupt that gut bacteria just like real sugar does. So this is not a solution as well to banish your sugar cravings. Like, in fact, it will actually continue the cycle of craving, reward, and overconsumption. So that means anything sweet, even if it's made healthy with all healthy ingredients that are Whole30 approved, are not allowed. And don't worry, don't freak out, okay? Alcohol. During quarantine, for real, Dr. Cassie? I'm going to be totally honest with you. Like, we've consumed quite a bit of alcohol during quarantine, and I know some of you too. And it's a lot easier on quarantine. But alcohol itself, sorry, I had forward, is just like sugar. Like, it does not make you healthier. And in fact, it's neurotoxic. Because why your brain doesn't work if you've had a couple drinks is because it's toxic to your brain. And on top of that, it also is nothing but empty calories. Like, it's nearly twice as calorie dense as sugar, like gram for gram. And it contains no nutrition at all. And then let's say you do drink alcohol, like the after effects of what that does with poor choices, like the pizza that happens because we're just like, whatever, and we just eat whatever. And then it might turn into like an entire weekend of Carbopalooza. Like, it just doesn't lead to usually proper food choices. On top of that, it makes it harder for your body to properly regulate blood sugar. It also promotes changes in your intestinal lining, which can contribute to more leaky gut. And it also affects systemic inflammation throughout your entire body. So whether it's red wine, whether it's tequila, whether it's Tito's, whether it's beer, like 0 on Whole30. So then we get into whole grains. So not even whole grains. What about quinoa? No. Any grains and grain-like seeds. So if you look on there, like I said rice and I said corn. So both refined and whole grains promote overconsumption. So that means that you just continue to eat again and again and again. Now, why does that happen? They contain inflammatory proteins like gluten inside of them and what are called fermentable carbohydrates. And what that means is that when you eat it and it goes inside of your belly, it ferments on the inside. You do not want that. Fermentation causes bloating. It causes gas. It causes stop up. Like, it causes constipation inside of your body. So what that does, though, is all the healthy bacteria, the balance of it goes out the window with grains. It also promotes inflammation in the body. So what happens, though, is with inflammation when you eat grains is like it starts in your belly, and then what happens when your belly becomes inflamed, that's where leaky gut comes in. So it does this, and to your tract, your lining to your digestive system needs to be like this. So inflammation causes it to do this. So then what happens is things that are not supposed to come out or come in start to do that. And then when it goes out, it goes into your bloodstream. So then that's where it goes, and your blood goes all over your entire body. So that is where systemic inflammation comes from. So when your body does this, so when things that are supposed to stay inside of your gut go outside into your bloodstream and goes throughout your entire body, this is when we see things manifest like asthma, allergies, skin conditions, even fertility issues, migraines, and joint pain. Grains are also known as, they contain anti-nutrients called phytates or phytic acid. And what happens is when phytate or phytic acid is inside of those grains, like minerals, valuable minerals to you are calcium, magnesium, and zinc. They are actually found inside of grain and grain-like things, but phytic acid puts them in bars and your body can't even utilize the minerals that are in there. So this is where it's hard because our whole culture says you need whole grains, you need a bunch of grains to survive. If you don't, like, not a good thing. And to be fair, like, I'm not saying that there's nothing good to be found here. Like, I'm going to talk about beans and we're going to talk about dairy. Like, grains and beans, like, they have a lot of fiber. Like, dairy has calcium. However, there is no vitamin, no mineral, no phytonutrient that you could get from only these foods that cannot be found in other foods like vegetables and fruits, that, and probably a more bioavailable form in quality meats and natural fats, like, that you can get in grains. Like, you're not going to miss anything. You can get them in other foods that are so much healthier and better for your body, that will support your metabolism, that will support your digestive system, that won't cause inflammation in your gut and in your entire body. So that's why these are called less healthy foods. So you will not die without having whole grains. Next one, passing on the peanuts and the beans and the soy. So these are all known as legumes. So legumes have similar issues than like those with grains that we just talked about. So generally, they are very nutrient poor, especially compared to vegetables and fruits. Vegetables and fruits have way more nutrients than any bean, pea, lentil, or grain. And so they also contain that phytic acid or phytates. So that means they completely neutralize your ability of using zinc, calcium inside of your body and those minerals. Now, some of you may have read, or you may know, if you don't, you can usually soak, ferment, cook, sprout, or rinse and decrease some of that phytic acid, but it's really hard to do that with legumes. The biggest part of this that I talked about, like in grains, is that fermentable carbohydrate. Beans and legumes are very much fermentable carbs. So that's why you fart. That is why there's gas. That is why there's bloating. That is why there's cramps. That is why there's a lot of digestive issues associated with legumes. Now, I'm going to talk about soy specifically for a minute. So especially processed soy products are going to be absolutely nothing. Like compounds that are soy, they act like estrogen in the body. And so estrogen is a female sex hormone. So they call these phytoestrogens or isoflavones. I don't know how to exactly say it. They bind to and then sometimes block estrogen receptors in the body. So that means they're acting like, when you eat soy, it's acting like estrogen inside of your body. And really the overall research in it is pretty inconsistent on soy and like good or bad, like vegetarian, vegan kind of a thing. But my thought process is like, you really don't want to be messing with the delicate sex hormones of our bodies. Like men don't need more estrogen in their bodies. Women, we don't need to be messing with estrogen up and down by the food that we are eating. Then let's talk about peanuts right there. So peanuts contain proteins that are called lectins, and lectins are very resistant to digestion. There's an amazing book called Plant Paradox that talks all about phytic acid, phytates, and lectins. It's very interesting. But what happens is that these lectins that are in peanuts, they cross into the bloodstream and then they promote inflammation, just like that leaky gut. So lectins are going through, they're not designed to go through. So then the body sees that as a predator and it starts to create inflammation to get rid of it in the body. So this is usually the reason that the incidence of peanut allergies are so prevalent today, is because of that. Crazy, right? Now, let's talk about milk and yogurt and cheese. They're not going to do your body any good at all. So this means anything from cow, goat, or sheep, anything inside of there. So this blew my mind even more than it normally does. Just a new revelation of looking at dairy. So dairy contain factors that help little mammals, like baby, calves, human infants, the growth factors that are found in milk and like all milk products, like I'm talking cheese, milk, cottage cheese, sour cream, all of that stuff, along with immune factors. So it's the growth factors in milk and their immune factors, and there's inflammatory proteins. They're not going to do our adult bodies any good. So the carbohydrate portion of milk, called lactose, together with the milk proteins, they produce a high insulin response inside of the body. So if you didn't know this, dairy has a very high sugar content. Skim milk has more dairy or more sugar in it than whole milk does. So it creates this huge insulin response because it's super sugary. And what happens is it causes an inflammatory response in our bodies. And then it starts to promote more issues like obesity and diabetes. So if you are trying to lose weight, if you are diabetic, you should not be having any dairy products whatsoever. None. We do not want to increase the insulin results. So then, in addition to high levels of insulin, along with other dairy growth factors, which causes like baby cows to gain hundreds of pounds over a small amount of time. So these things, they promote unregulated cell growth is what it's called. And so that makes sense. Like if you are a calf or an infant, that you want your body weight to go up and that your cells are doing faster and faster and faster. So that makes sense as a baby, as a little cow, but it does not make sense for an adult or a big cow. Like big cows don't go drinking other cows' milk like ever because they're not growing like that. That's not what they use. They transition out. And that's why we're also not breastfed as adults. Like we transition into eating real food. Like we don't need to be eating dairy. Okay. Now, the other part of this is what's called casein. And this is the dairy protein that's really concentrated in cheese, but it can be very inflammatory to the body. That some people aren't really allergic to dairy or sensitive to dairy. They're actually just sensitive to casein. And it causes an inflammatory response in the body. And it also has been associated with an increased risk of autoimmune diseases, especially like rheumatoid arthritis. The immune factors and hormones in milk proteins can cross-react with our immune system. So that leads, and we have a dog, all the dog situations. Go, guys. Okay. Time out. All right, here we go. So lastly, the immune factors and hormones in milk proteins, they can cross-react with our own immune system. So this is like milk drinkers and cheese eaters. You may have noticed, and those that struggle with allergies, asthma, or acne, that especially during when you eat dairy, all of those things get increased inside of your body. So there's more. You're like, are you freaking kidding me? Yes, or no, I'm not kidding you, okay? There's more. So here are the program rules of Whole30. Everything that you see there, we just went through. Do not eat that. Do not eat that. You can see all this. But then we get to the last three. So let's talk about that. Don't consume carrageenan, MSG, or added sulfites. Those are all toxins that you do not want, and you have to be a label reading master. How do you know that? Anything that you pick up with a box or has a package, you want to make sure that none of those ingredients are on the ingredients list. Then, do not recreate baked goods, treats, or junk food with approved ingredients. So that means no banana egg pancakes, no almond flour cookies, no paleo bread. Danny, it was so good. We just ate all of it. We had some paleo bread, but we were like, well, can't eat that. Coconut flour muffins or coconut milk ice cream, not on Whole30 for 30 days. Your cravings and your habits, they won't change if you're just recreating and keeping the foods the same, even if they're made with Whole30 ingredients. Now, the last one is do not step on the scale or take measurements. Like, this is so much more. I want to remind you, this is so much more than weight loss. Excuse me, if you focus so much on your body composition, like your weight and the measurements, like you are going to miss out on some amazing changes that you're going to have and lifelong benefits that this program does have to offer. So no weighing yourself or analyzing your body fat or breaking out your tape measure for 30 days. Okay. Now there are some fine prints that come along with this. Clarified butter or ghee are allowed. Fruit juice as a sweetener is allowed. Green beans, snow peas, sugar snap peas. Like, even though these are technically a legume, they're really more like a pod than a bean or a pea. So those, and they're green. So anything really green is a good thing. And then vinegar is also allowed, specifically white, balsamic, apple cider, red wine, all of those that you see there. What is not is any other flavored vinegars with added sugars or malt vinegar because it contains gluten. Now, this is going to be done for 30 days. Like, it is only 30 days, but you have to do it 30 days straight. Now I'm going to do a side note because I know we got some more listeners on here and I just want to give them an opportunity once they see this, is I'm giving away a women's and a men's multivitamin for anybody that has a comment or a question or a, hey, yeah, like I love your guys' things. I see black beans. Black beans are not part of it. Like I see Margaret, I see Dee, I see Afgar. I love knowing that you are there and who I'm talking to. So I just want to say thank you. We will put your name in a raffle at the very end and we'll tag you in the comments. So just say, hey, you can do it as many times as you want to. The more comments, the more entries. So we're going to do this for 30 days, okay? For 30 days, you are going to focus on making good health food choices. You don't need to weigh any of your food. You don't need to measure any of your food. You don't need to count any calories. You don't need to stress out whether or not it's organic, grass-fed, pasture-raised, or local. Just figure out how you're going to stick to Whole30 in any setting, around every special occasion, and under any amount of stress for 30 days. So your only job, eat good food. But that also means no cheats, no slips, no cheat meals. One bite of pizza, one sip of alcohol, one lick of a spoon of cookie dough batter. You've broken your health and healing reset and you have to start back at day one. For some of you, you're like, I don't even know. Oh my gosh. But I promise you on the next couple slides, I'm going to tell you exactly what you're going to be eating. There is a plan and there is a process and you absolutely can do this. But you have to commit to the full program. Exactly as it is written, nothing less. Everything that I said, it doesn't work if you don't fully dive all the way in. Also, like you're going to be selling yourself short of all the results that you could possibly get. So tough love again, like it is not hard. Don't even consider yourself slipping out of this. Like unless you like physically trip and put your face and your face lands in a bucket of donuts, like then you literally did slip. But a slip is a choice. And so the other part is like you never, ever, ever have to eat anything that you don't want to eat. Like you're an adult, so you can learn to say no. Or you can say no, thank you, if you want to be a little bit more polite. But like, learn these parts. This, you can see how this could absolutely change and transform your life. But this does require effort. Like this does require going grocery shopping. This does require meal planning. This does require what you're going to do when you go out to eat. This does require explaining things to your friends and to your family. But I promise you, you can absolutely do this. Like you want to do this, like you need to do this. And I know that you can do this. So here's what it looks like. Eat real food 3 meals a day. Nan's like, I don't know if I can do this. That is so honest, Nan. I just want to honor you right now for having said that. That's what I think this takes more of. And I'm going to go through the things that'll help you stay committed. But a community like this is what is going to get you through this. People that are there to support you is one of the biggest successes of this program, and how you're going to be able to do this for 30 days. But when you take a look at this right here, eat meat, seafood, eggs, vegetables, fruit, natural fats, herbs, spices, and seasoning. Like that is just a little bit of something, but you can absolutely do that. I'm going to have Nikki send you guys a link right now. Whole30 has everything that you need. I don't need to create anything. I don't want to recreate anything. I did all of this. I went to this. And you can see this is an entire shopping list of everything that you can have, because some of you are so focused on what you can't have right now. You need some love on what you can have. And there is free downloads. So much support for you. But she's going to send you to this website and you can download every single thing that you are going to need so that you can see exactly how you can absolutely do this. So let's get started, like for real this time, okay? So you're going to focus on making those good food choices, period. Okay? Now, we're going to go through this 5-step process for full preparation of how you're going to do this. So you kind of know now what you're signing up for when you do the Whole30, but it's really like it's a commitment, but you need to prepare. And I'm going to ask you to make sure that you do not miss this step. You have to fully prepare and you have to fully plan for this to work. All right. Think about it. Like if you are like, okay, I got my start date. I'm going to build a support team. I got my house ready. And you know what? I'm just going to just put my meals on the fly. Like I'm just going to kind of like whatever. I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to buy all that stuff that you just showed on the thing. But you know what? I'm just going to make it however. Like how easy, like how hard could it be? Meat, a vegetable, that. I'm going to challenge. Don't do that. Don't do that. Plan and prepare. And so you're going to start right here. The very first thing, choose your start date. Of course, I'm going to say start ASAP, right? Start now. But I want you to consider a few things. They have shown, like habit research shows, that when people get excited or jump from like contemplation, like, okay, so I'm thinking about the program and thinking about Whole30, and you go from that contemplation straight into action. So straight next day, tomorrow, I'm going to start the program. You're actually less likely to see the change through. And why is that? Is because you've actually not taken the time to prepare mentally and physically. And on Whole30, doing that, it spells trouble. We already fell into it. I thought I was doing it and I actually wasn't. And I was like, oh crap, I have to start over. Oh crap, I have to start over. Dang it. But I'm okay with myself. And now I'm planning and I'm preparing. And then here we go. So first thing, choose a start date. 30 days is, even though it's just 30 days, it's still a long time. A lot of things can happen in 30 days. It's different with our situation in the world right now, but I want you to pick a time, but making sure that you don't have something planned in the middle of it. Like if you have a vacation in the middle of it, if you have a wedding in the middle of it, if you have this big old deal in the middle of it, don't plan your Whole30 in the middle of that. That's just not setting yourself up for success. The other part of this, look around at 30 days to see if there's anything that's like popping up that might be not too bad, like a bridal shower or a work event or something like that, or like a birthday party. Use those and think about those as an opportunity. Like don't hold off until after those things. Be like, all right, this is an opportunity to learn. And on Whole30, they have an entire list of like what you need to do when you travel, when you dine out. She has it all inside of her book right here. So there are, you can absolutely do it. Don't plan your Whole30 where it's 30 days, then a vacation right afterwards. Why? Because there is a reintroduction phase. So if you remember at the beginning, I talked about we're going to strategically put foods back in to see how your body responds. You're going to see what that does to your energy, your mood, all of that. We don't want 30 days and then you go on vacation because then you have no idea. You have nothing afterwards to create a nutrition plan that's specific for you. You have no idea what foods will trigger a response in your body that you would rather eliminate or get out of your diet altogether, okay? So that's the first thing. When you choose your start date, though, there's a couple things that need to be done. You need to, if you have an actual calendar, you need to circle it, the date that you are going to decide. If you have a Google Calendar, you're going to put it in your Google Calendar. But putting your commitment on paper makes you more likely to succeed. Number two, you're going to build a support team. For some of you, this is going to be a radical change. And you're going to need some support. And it is okay to say, I need help. And any kind of change that's pretty radical is hard to do alone. So you're going to need some help. You need a support network that's going to keep you motivated. It's going to keep you inspired. It's going to keep you accountable. I saw Aaron wrote, you're a hype woman. And it's so true. I will motivate you because I'm a big proponent of an underdog. Like, I'm like, you can do it. I'm a big proponent of your potential. Like, I can see it inside of you and I know that you can do it and I will hype you up all day long, but you're the one responsible for it. I can only do that so much, right? But the best way is really doing Whole30 with someone else. So like you actually recruit someone with you in real life. But I'm going to give you some words of advice, okay? Don't start with all the things. I just nodded. Don't start with all the things that you can't have. So don't start with you can't have grains, you can't have dairy, you can't have this, you can't have that. Notice I actually didn't start with that. If you remember what I said at the very beginning, I said you are going to have real nutritious food that you are going to eat for 30 days. A breakfast is full of a vegetable frittata and fresh fruit and avocado. And I told you all the amazing things that you can have. And I did that on purpose is because we can't just start with all the things that we can't have. Another thing that you can do to help recruit people is that you can say why you want to do this. And I don't mean like it can help with your energy, but make it personal. Say like, share with them like every day at 3 p.m., I feel like I need a nap. And I'm hoping that Whole30 will help me keep my energy so then I won't have to grab my usual soda or candy bar in the afternoon. Get deep on why you really want to do this. But I know even as much as we try to recruit people and get them on board with us and do it with us, like friends and family, they may not be ready yet. And that's okay. And honestly, like it might also be the 10th time that you've committed to a diet and they don't want to hear it anymore. And that's okay. They're just a little bit jaded, but I believe that this time could be completely different. And Nikki posted on there that you can have like Whole30. It's been around for a while. It is huge. It is big. They have everything that you need. They have a forum. They have a newsletter that you can sign up that will give you inspiration every single day. They even keep you accountable. If you sign up for their email newsletter, at the bottom of it, you have to click that it says, I just completed another day of Whole30. It says that. It's super cool. So you have all the accountability that you need in a support team. Get your house ready. Do not skip this. Planning and preparation is everything, but clean out your junk. I am not kidding. Today you're on fire. It doesn't matter if there was a cookie in front of you right now, you're so on fire that you would be like, I don't even want you. And you'd throw it in the toilet because you throw it in the toilet because then if you threw it in the garbage, you wouldn't take it out of the garbage and then you would eat it because you wouldn't just grab it out. You know what I'm saying? You have this inside of you right now, but I'm going to tell you, you're going to get stressed out. Work is going to suck. We're going to stay in quarantine and it's going to be, I deserve this. I've been doing so good. And all of that motivation and willpower is going to be gone. That is why this is not about willpower. But if there's junk in your house, you're going to go eat it. No matter how strong you feel right now, future you will eat it. Don't kid yourself. Get rid of it. But if you live with a family, they're not going to be super happy. Or a roommate if you just clean out all the junk, right? So dedicate a drawer. Communicate with your family. Let them know what's happening, but get your house ready. Ask them things like, hey, don't offer me chocolate, even if it's a joke. Like communicate with them and let them know and support you during this time. In some of your family, you might have family traditions where you have ice cream at the end of the day and you guys work hard and you go out for ice cream and that's going to not be what happens for 30 days. And they might be a little bit sad, but why not see this as an opportunity to let you go do family bike rides or you go outside for a walk or you do something more fun and you create different family traditions that aren't centered around food. Or you have movie night and everybody has popcorn and you have a soda. Well, maybe yours looks different. Like you make kale chips and you have herbal tea. Like you can still do those things. Don't feel like you're being deprived or left out. You're just changing some of the way that you do things. And then the fourth one is planning for success. Listen, your brain loves a plan. I love a plan. You really need a plan when it comes to this. So plan meals. Start that process on the Whole30 website. They have an entire meal plan for you. On my Pinterest account, you can look up Cassie Major and my stuff is on there. I have a Whole30 recipes that you can go to. But if you don't have a plan, then you're just leaving everything to a whim and your brain doesn't like that. It's like, what are we having for breakfast? Oh, what are we having for lunch? What are we having for dinner? It's already decided. Don't use more brain power if you don't have to. But don't underestimate how difficult these next 30 days can be, especially if you don't have a plan. The bottom line, the first 3 to 7 days, you absolutely need to plan. If you're really great from there, totally fine, but please plan at least the first 3 to 7 days. Last thing is toss the scale. First, your weight will fluctuate pretty a lot. Like it'll just change a lot, up to 5 to 6 pounds, they say. So that can mess with us. Second, the scale says nothing about your health. It says nothing about how your digestive system is doing. It says nothing about the inflammation inside of your body. It says nothing about that. Like, you can be skinny and not be healthy. Like, your body composition and that doesn't necessarily determine what your health is. How you look and how you feel is the worst way to wonder if you are healthy or not. You know that we talk about that a lot, but it doesn't talk about your food cravings. Like, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't tell if you're sleeping better. So that's 2 reasons. Now, the biggest reason is this one. When you're on the scale so often, it blinds you to other changes in your life. And so I'm going to give you a scenario. And this is real life because it used to be me. We haven't had a scale in our house for a while. We bought it because I was doing nutrition in the jail. And I was like, well, this could be one way we measure it and see. And we didn't. And we were trying to figure out how much Rue weighed. So Dr. Michael would stand on the scale, see how much he weighed, pick up Rue, and then do that. We just want to see how much he weighed. So I took it out of the box. But I was reminded of what happens when we're very scale obsessed. So here's how it goes. You wake up in the morning, you instantly go to the scale, and you do it naked because you don't want any clothes on you, because you don't want that to fluctuate any of the weight, because you want it to be what? So you get up on the scale, you close your eyes, you cross your fingers, you take a deep breath, and you open your eye and you look and you're down a pound and you're like, yes. So then you jump in the shower, you have more energy. You're like, today is going to be a good day. Awesome. Great. Everything is good. Yes. Wake up the next morning. Jump on the scale, look down, you've gained 2 pounds. Oh my God. You start going inside of your head. You're like, wait a second. Was it the mashed potatoes? Like, was it the extra helping? Like, was it because I didn't do enough cardio? Like, what it is? You instantly go into fix mode. So then you're like, okay, so today I only get 2 eggs. I'm going to do extra stuff at the gym. Like, I'm going to just focus, get back down into it. Yep. Okay. Because all this, that's what caused it. Here it is. But then you get into the shower and you can't stop thinking about it. You're like, oh. And then there's shame and there's guilt and you're just like, oh. And now your whole day is ruined by what that scale said. That the scale determined your worth, it determined your joy, it determined everything. And so for 30 days, there is no measurements being done. Now, they do say it's okay to do it before and after. They do also recommend taking pictures. So as much as you feel comfortable in, like men just wearing shorts, women like a sports bra and some shorts, take a picture, front, back, side, and then in 30 days, you can measure again to see where you're at. The biggest thing I would recommend is right here is to download this non-scale victories so that you can see other things like what's changed in your like physical appearance inside and outside. Your mood, has it changed? Has your brain function, has your sleep changed? Has your energy changed? And looking at more non-scale victories than other ones. We're going over it, just is what it is. Reintroduction. So once you've done the 30 days, now it's time to reintroduce those foods back into your diet. So in 2014, they did a study of 1,300 Whole30 participants. 76% said while they were planning on eating all kinds of treats on day 31, by the time their Whole30 was over, they didn't even want those foods anymore. So there's 2 keys to note here, though, in reintroduction. Number 1, neither one, fast or slow introduction, adds sugar back in. None. So there is not a point of adding sugar back in to see what happens. It's just a nothing. It is a no-brainer that we just don't eat sugar. Like, there really is no need to be adding sugar back into your diet, okay? The other part is, in reintroduction, like if you don't like a food, you're not interested in reintroducing a food back in or a drink back in, like there's no need to introduce it. Like, only reintroduce the foods that you suspect you really want to see, like what happens, A, and B, something that you want to put back into your diet. Leave the rest alone. It's not necessary to put them back in. So let's talk about the fast track. So the fast track, this is where, okay, so reintroduction, let me go back. Like, this is your one opportunity. You've done 30 days completely clean, that you get to literally, slowly, carefully, systematically reintroduce things of the off plan and see what happens. Like, you're putting it back into your clean environment. So you really get to know more about your body and listen to it, which is really cool. So don't just trash it all, okay? Like after 30 days, don't just go off on a binger. Like really go the next 10 to 13 days to reintroduce this back into your body. But don't rush the process either. But fast track, it's kind of like that. So like this is someone that wants to like really figure out as soon as possible how these foods impact you so that you can begin just putting them back into the world. It's very structured. The downside of this is that you may have a pretty miserable 10 to 13 days. And that's because you're reintroducing them back. Your body might not like it. So you might be miserable for 10 to 13 days. The upside though, it's done and done, you know, and you're done. So day one is alcohol. This is optional because some people might not drink alcohol, but gluten-free alcohol. So those of you that are missing like red wine, tequila, Tito's, or gluten-free beer, like take this opportunity on day one to celebrate, if you will, if that's what you're going to use it for, but really only have 1 or 2 drinks. Like don't go overboard with this. The food that you're eating though is still continuing to be Whole30. Okay. You're just introducing alcohol into your body. So this is where you're going to pay attention to how you feel, evaluate, and decide for yourself how often and how much you want to incorporate alcohol back into your life, if at all, okay? Then either day one, if you don't do alcohol, you just go right to day one, or day 4, this is when you're gonna start to introduce legumes. Now, day 2 and 3 are straight Whole30, so nothing has changed that you've done in the last 30 days. Eat everything like normal that you've been doing. Then, so what this might look like for legumes is you might have peanut butter on a green apple for breakfast. You might have a bowl of miso soup, soy sauce on sashimi for lunch. You might have a side of black beans for dinner. You're going to have that in one day. So you're going to eat legumes. The rest of it can be Whole30. Put those legumes in your body. Pay attention how you feel. Evaluate what that looks like. Then you're going to go back on Whole30 for 2 days. Then on the 7th day, you're going to introduce non-gluten grains. So that might look like a bowl of oatmeal. That might look like a serving of white rice. That might look like corn tortilla chips. That might look like a sandwich with gluten-free bread. Then you're going to pay attention to how you feel, evaluate, decide where you're at, and then go from there. Then you're going to go back to eating Whole30 for 2 days, and then you're going to introduce dairy. So that might look like plain yogurt in the morning. You might add milk or cream to your coffee. You might top your salad with cheese. You might put butter and sour cream on a baked potato. Then you're going to pay attention, see how you feel, 2 days, and so on. So then we get to gluten. This might look like whole wheat cereal. It might look like a muffin. It might look like whole grain bread. It might look like wheat crackers. It might even look like a beer. But pay attention to how you feel. Then you note what it is and you implement what you learn for the rest of your life. Okay? Seems simple. But here's an example. So if wine gave you a migraine and milk gave you major gas and bread made your eczema worse, like it's up to you to figure out whether those side effects are worth it. Like maybe you love wine so much that you will drink it and it's okay. You just know that you're going to get a headache. But now you know more about your body than you ever have and how food affects you. Now there's also the slow roll. This is way more gradual reintroduction. It's not based on a timeline. You actually get to choose the timeline. It's for people that really do feel amazing after the 30 days, but you're not ready to reintroduce any of those less healthy foods for either the sake of reintroducing them, or if you have a medical condition that is reversing and you're seeing significant improvements, like with all of the symptoms, and you're like, I'm not even ready for any of that stuff to come back with a vengeance, because it can. So what you do is you continue eating Whole30, just like we talked about, keeping all of the legumes, dairy, all that stuff out. And when something special or delicious comes along, you decide when you're ready and you want to eat it and have it or drink it. And then you evaluate your effects from there. So for example, like it might be a special occasion dinner. You might go home for Christmas and mom makes homemade bread or cookies and you see how it goes. or you want a drink of your favorite wine, so you do that. The cool part about slow roll is that you most likely in this part like savor it, and you'll be less tempted by not so special treats that happen a lot of times, which is really, really good. But you do have to be aware of the sugar dragon. Like, it's a real life thing and it could come plummeting back. Now we're coming into the final end. If you are still here, love you. Thanks for hanging in there. If you're still here, make a comment. I'm giving away the men's multi or the women's multi at the very end. We got a couple more minutes. Hang tight. So here are some tips like from my experience with Whole30. My whole thing with this is that the way that I wanted to teach you is like, I want to teach you how to fish. I don't want to just give you a fish. And so download and use every resource on the Whole30's website. That is what I did. So that is how I fished. So I wanted to learn about Whole30, so I did. I went to Whole30's website, I bought the book, and I bought the t-shirt. Like, I downloaded every resource. I have a folder on my computer that says Whole30 resources. I downloaded everything. I would print it off, but I didn't want to waste that much paper in that moment, but I'm going to print off some of them. Buy the book, read it. There's tons of recipes in the back. You can Google Whole30 recipes. A ton will pop up. One of the other tips that I absolutely recommend is having emergency dinner plans. Like, so what I mean is that you would have, like, if an emergency happened and you didn't have anything cooked, that you could have these go-to meals that were easy. I will post them. I don't have them, but One Pot Hamburger is one of our favorite ones. It's from a keto book, and it's like cauliflower rice and hamburger and parsley and nutrition. Like, there's a bunch of good, just real ingredients that goes inside of one pot, and then it's done. And then we had it for lunch today. We buy sausage, chicken sausage or turkey sausage, and sauerkraut. And we just heat up the sausages and eat them with sauerkraut. The other one is that we do always try to have like ground meat in our freezer. You know that we sell grass-fed beef at the office. So we have ground meat, we put it on a salad, and then we make a dressing. We had it last night. We had ground duck, a little bit of beef, and on a bunch of salad, and I made this orange vinaigrette dressing. And it was simple, it was easy, didn't take very long, but having those emergency dinners are super great. Support is huge. I cannot express that enough. It is so much easier when my husband's on board. I know some of you that is not the situation, so you need to make sure though that you have the support. This is a marathon, not run a marathon. That is not my tip at all. But this is a marathon. It is not a sprint. So know that even if you fail and have to restart again, it's okay. You're getting better each and every time. Another big tip is that you have to read every label and become a master Googler. That means if you read a label and you don't know what it is, Google it. Literally just Google it and it'll tell you what it is, and that way you know. Ascorbic acid is just a fancy word for vitamin C, yet carrageenan is something you do not want to put, or MSG, but when you take a look at it, you will know. Planning and preparation is everything. Everything, and I cannot express it. If you don't plan, it will be super hard and difficult to the point of where I would absolutely say that you could fail because you're not planning ahead. Here are my final thoughts on my pros and cons of Whole30. I love this. I love what it does for our emotional being when it comes to food. I love what it does for our cravings. I love what it does for all of that. I think it is a phenomenal. I'm a very huge supporter of Whole30. This is more, if you want to compare it, like this is more like a paleo than it is a keto program. So know if there's like that part. Here's my thoughts on it though. They say you can have all the potatoes in the world. I'm not a huge fan of having a bunch of potatoes because they're pretty high in sugar. Sweet potatoes are less sugar than normal potatoes. So I would say make sure that you keep that in the back of your mind. They also say that you can have all the fruit in the world, but they are very good at showing you seasonally. And then they do talk about sugars and fruits. So just because you can have fruit on Whole30 doesn't mean that you eat all the fruit. There's still sugar in it. We keep to Granny Smith apples and berries. And then you really want to eat fruit seasonally. Like majority of fruit is in the summer. That's when we eat it. When it's hot outside, we eat it in the summer. We eat it in the spring. That's okay. Like eat it seasonally. But like in the wintertime, like you don't need to be eating pineapple. Like you don't eat a whole lot of fruit. So just want to encourage you on that. They also talk about like you can have pork and you can have shellfish. And they also talk about like not caring where the meat comes from. I get that. And if you can't get healthy meat, that's okay. But I want to encourage that more than what they may do at the very beginning parts of it. But pork, it needs to come from a very good source, because pork are a pretty unclean animal. They roll in the mud. But the other part of it is that the reason that they're unclean is because they don't have a sweat system inside of their body. That's why they roll in the mud. When they get hot, they don't sweat toxins out. So I want to make sure pork at least comes from a great source. Like, it can't just be pork off of anything. Make sure that it is like organic, vegetarian fed, good pork. Okay. And shellfish, they are bottom feeders, so they eat a lot of poop. So I wouldn't have shellfish as a whole bunch of your diet. Keep those on the low. Those are the biggest things that my pros and cons of the Whole30 as going through it from what I've taught and from what I have researched and what I have shown a lot of you over these years. And so keeping those thoughts in mind. And then the last one has to do with supplements, because I read it in here and it's one of the top questions that people have is like, what supplements should I take during Whole30? Well, the first thing is that you don't have to take anything at all. Like, it is not required to take supplements during Whole30 at all. The biggest thing is to see what food does to your body, not what food and supplements or what supplements do to your body. But they do say, like Melissa says right in her book right here, that those ones that are listed, high quality fish oils, vitamin D, magnesium, digestive enzymes, probiotics, and multivitamins, are a great thing to consider to take for the health of your body. Now, I put stars by magnesium and the multivitamin because that's what Chef talked about the most inside of her book, is that magnesium has so many benefits in it, like including relieving leg and other muscle cramps. And it also buffers the effects of chronic stress. So it's it's like over 300 different chemical reactions inside of your body require magnesium. But I also want to note, like, take it. I think it's great to take it, but you can also do things like Epsom salt baths. Like, put 1 to 2 cups of Epsom salt in your bath, warm water, and sit in there for 20 to 30 minutes, and it will increase your magnesium intake. The other one is a multivitamin. So we know you're eating real, whole, full, natural foods. Like, we know that. Like, all of this is good food, and it's loaded with vitamins, it's loaded with minerals, and it's loaded with phytonutrients. So why would you need a multivitamin? And the reason is because of our soil. So our soil isn't as rich in minerals as it used to be. So that means that fruits and vegetables that we eat may not be as nutrient dense as the ones that our grandparents had. So the other part of that is that we're not always eating pasture-raised, grass-fed beef, organic animal products, and factory-farmed meat and seafood. They're not as nutritious as grass-fed, pasture-raised, and local. And, you know, sometimes we dine out. We consume unhealthy oils. That eats up your antioxidant stores that go and fight free radicals inside of your body. So even though we're doing our very best that we can with real food, our health, like, it can still benefit from a micronutrient boost from a multivitamin that is balanced. So Nikki is posting on the side that of all of the links that you can go directly to if you're not a patient. I cannot give you a discount, unfortunately, but if you are a patient, you can text Nikki. She's ready for you. We have every single thing in the office. Our supplements came today. All these will be 15% off that you see there. If you take another supplement, the rest are all 10% off. You can let her know and she can bag them up and make sure that you get them on your next visit, or do a curbside to anybody that needs it, okay? Who's ready? I am. Dr. Michael and I are going to do it. We're getting planned and ready to start. If you are going to do it, please let us know so that we can be a support to you. I just want to say thank you for being on here. We are instantly after this going to put everybody's name that made a comment, that asked a question, and get entered in to win the men's or women's multivitamin we'll make sure that we get that to you. Friends and Family Day for May is on May 13th. Just reminders for you. What happens on that day is that the people that you love and that you care about, they get discounted, and it's going to go directly to the prison program that Nikki and I serve at, that we love, called the Wild Indigo Program, specifically the Academy. So that's going to be on Wednesday, May 13th. Then our next webinar is going to be on men and women's health. We were hoping that it was going to be a workshop, but it's probably not going to happen. But that's going to be on May 18th at 6 p.m. Both Dr. Michael and I will be live. We're going to go over the difference between men and women's health. Men, we're going to be going through high blood pressure, high cholesterol, low testosterone, and prostate cancer. Women, we're going to also be going through depression, osteoporosis, menopause, and thyroid issues, as well as breast cancer. So don't miss that one. Get on with your husband or your wife or your significant other. And then my next nutrition workshop will be on intermittent fasting. I'm super excited for this. You may have heard of it before. You may have never heard of it before, but the timing of when you eat actually can matter. So Tuesday, June 16th at 5:30, you can meet me right here on YouTube and Facebook, and we'll go through intermittent fasting, and catch us on our podcast as well, The Health Majors. It's going to be restarting. We recorded one. We just got to get it up and change everything. But know that our podcast does exist. You can go back and listen to tons of them from the past years, and that'll get started again. Know that I love you. Happy Cinco de Mayo. If you're listening to this afterwards, happy day, whatever it is. I thank you for being a part of this. Love you, and we will talk to you all soon.